to the same topic. And I've come to learn through my study, through my years in the way that the Old Testament set the pattern. And the New Testament gives you the freedom and the ability to hold to the pattern. And we know that Israel was the example. Yes, they were the chosen people. They had all the benefits of being the chosen people, but they were also used as the test group to show the rest of us the way of how things are, what God expects from us. So this is what we're dealing with today. The Lord's Day. Let's go into the introduction, and then we'll deal with the lesson context, and then we'll go straight into the scriptures. Introduction. The great birthday debate. I have never liked birthday celebrations. I can't keep track of dates. I can't find the right words for a card, and I don't even like cake. Oh, wow, that's a bad start. I hope it gets better, right? But when I got married, I learned that my opinion was not popular, not by a long shot. I think I knew that beforehand, but my wife would never let me impose my anti-birthday views on others. In her family, birthdays were a time when a person felt valued, when others' priorities could be postponed. You can probably guess which side my kids chose in the great birthday debate. I have to admit, it gives me pause to see how birthday traditions evolve each year. I witnessed that the simple act of remembering and doing something changed my son and daughter's perspectives. They wake with an abundant joy to face a day of attention, and I think that they started to chip away at my indifference. I suppose we could honor one another on any day, but it sure helps when it's on the calendar. Okay, so we get sort of the perspective that the writer is trying to deal with. He's sort of alluding to what the scripture is going to talk about in the New Testament portion of our text. Now, lesson context. The giving of the Sinai covenant comes at a key point in the history of Israel, the 10 Commandments or the Decalogue, which means 10 words. Convey wisdom from God. By following these commands, the Israelites were invited to live at peace with one another and with God, who just freed them from servitude in Egypt. We find that in Exodus 19:4-6. The fourth of these commandments, Sabbath, describes a practice of refraining from work on the final day of each week. It is without any precise equivalent in other ancient Near Eastern cultures. So no other culture celebrated this event or even had anything similar to it up until this time point. Again, this is about showing a difference between what God expects and what the world does. All right. It is without, The distinctiveness of the Sabbath's practice became especially apparent when inhabitants of Judah went into exile and later returned to the land after it had been repopulated with other groups. 6th century BC. Alongside infant circumcision, Leviticus 12:3, and restrictive food laws in Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy 14, Sabbath became a mark of Jewish identity in the Persian, Greek, and Roman periods, in the centuries before the birth of Jesus. But as Christianity, which began as a Jewish movement, grew into include Gentiles, a question that the earliest of churches had to answer: when shall we meet? Christian Voluntary Association, which is how churches were seen by Romans, chose to meet before dawn on the first day of the week, Sunday rather than Saturday. Outsiders noticed the habits of the Christians to gather on Sunday mornings, for instance. Pliny the Younger, a 2nd century Roman authority trying to root out the Christians in his regions, reported to the emperor Targarian that Christians gather before dawn on a particular day when they sang hymns to Christ. So people noticed that there was a certain practice that they had, that they would get together on a particular day. And unfortunately, that sort of kind of marked them as easy targets, because they knew where they're going to be on this particular day. So this is where we get the sort of difference between how the Gentiles practiced and how the Jewish people practiced. They do it on Saturday, we do it on Sunday. So Paul had to answer that question. And that's what we're going to find out in today's lesson. All right, let's go with the pattern that's set. Exodus 28 through 11. And this is God speaking to his people. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So that means everybody's covered. Your animals ain't doing nothing, you ain't doing nothing. Even the people you invite over are not doing nothing. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and the sea and all that is that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So the day was already set to be holy. We're just supposed to remember it to keep it that way. It's already a holy day. We're just remembering it to keep it that way. Anybody have a question, comment on that? It's already a holy day. We don't make it holy by observing it. It's already a holy day. We damage it by not observing it. Well, the Jews practice it on Saturday. The Gentiles on Sunday. We'll find out, does it really matter, later on. But this is how they practice it. And anybody that was a part of their culture or, came into their culture, that's how they practiced it. But we're setting a pattern here. God did it by resting on the seventh day. Then he's telling us to honor that seventh day by not just simply not working, but remembering it. What does that mean by remembering it? What are we supposed to do when we remember something? Because we started off with that introduction about the birthday. What do you do when you remember events like that? But how do you honor it? So worship, praise. But what does that really mean? No, I'm asking very specific. I'm looking for a little bit more than just the stand. Yeah, because we say worship and praise, but what does that mean? We're resting on the holy day. We're remembering that he rested on that holy day. We toiled through the entire week. But then on that day, he's asking us to remember it. In honor of him, I get that. We're worshiping and praising him, but why? What's the reason behind that? Okay, to keep it holy. For rest. If God, okay, reverence. Reverencing who? Him. We're reverencing him because I always think about that. Do we think we're better than him? That we think we have the ability to do things that he can't do? Because he referenced that I rested on this day. And I hallowed it. It's my day. I put it aside for rest. And I want you to honor my day. And it's just like with the introduction, we're talking about, the birthday. People set aside and we pay attention to the person who was born on that day. We do the birthday fund here, and we always honor the people that were born in that entire month, and we give them something. We honor them through a balloon and a bundt cake and a little gift on the side, and we all clap and say happy birthday to them. We're reverencing that person on the day that they were born, right? So that's what the praise and worship is about, reverencing God. Not only the work that he did, the creation. We're honoring him, all the work that he had done that entire week, from the separating of the dark from the light, from the land from the sea, from filling the land and the sea and the air. All of those different things, we're honoring all that, the very creation, the very work that he did. And then ultimately, we're honoring him by being obedient. That is true. We were being obedient. We're honoring, we're praising, we're worshiping, but doing all of those different things for his sake, not ours. We do benefit. Think about that. We do benefit by resting. We do benefit from that one day of rest. But we're giving him thanks for that one day of rest. Sounds simple. But nobody else did that. The only people who were doing that at this time were the Hebrews. Matter of fact, everybody else had multiple gods. Some cultures didn't even have a god. They didn't reverence anything except themselves, highly esteemed themselves. But again, the day is already holy. It's already been hallowed. The Lord blessed the Sabbath. It is holy. And he's just asking us to honor it by just simply resting and reverencing him on that day. That's it. Nothing else, nothing more. The writer said it's kind of vague, but is it really? If he's telling you not to work, you don't work. Just rest. Just honor him. Just worship him. Just praise him. Remember what he did the other 6 days. The blessings that he bestowed upon us during those 6 days. The life that he gave us. The breath in our lungs. All of those different things. Let's go to Romans. Because it seems simple right here, right? The pattern's set. He's telling us exactly what he wants. People think it's vague. I don't really think it's vague. He just says don't work. But somehow, some way, it got kind of mixed up along the way. There's all of a sudden rules made up. But what if you've got to move your wagon from one place to the other, but it's on the Sabbath? Well, you got to do it this way. But what if you got to do this? What if you got to do? He said, don't work. Just stay home. Relax. I don't even see in here where he said, go to the temple. He just said, don't work. But somehow, some way, we added like another 15,000 rules to that. Because even today, we're in a Christian nation. They came up with the blue laws. They'll let you have it open for half a day. No, it says don't work. So gas station shouldn't have been open half a day. Grocery store shouldn't have been open half a day. You shouldn't have people working on Saturday. We're a Christian nation. We honor the Sabbath on a Sunday. Don't work. But somehow, some way, we always want to make concessions, work around it, do all these different things. Understood. Not everybody's saved, so I get it. Some people want to work. Come on. Uh-huh.
So, if they made the blue law that you're not supposed to be open on Sunday and not supposed to do anything, and
right,
the Sabbath says that.
Right.
But as a Christian,
right,
if I partake in things on that day, am I guilty just as guilty the day off?
What do you mean by partake?
If I go to the gas station, if I go out to eat, if I do something contrary to what the word is saying, am I as guilty as the one that's being open?
Are you working? Yeah. Yeah, work. Are you working? When you go to that restaurant, are you the one working? Yeah. I mean, the operative word is work. Yeah. I'm just saying, we make concessions, yes, but are you the one that's working on that Sunday? Yeah, right. But again, if you're using that same analogy, if you're the one that's saved and you are on the schedule to work on a Sunday, I told them there was a job I had just before, they actually gave me the leeway to say that I don't work on Sundays. Heather had the same option. Not everybody gets that, and I'm putting that out there. Not everybody gets that option. We were just fortunate enough to say I don't work on Sundays, and they asked us why, because I go to church on Sunday. Right, 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 and this is where the New Testament comes in. Because we're dealing with that, because we're dealing with the culture where not everybody in that culture is saved. Not everybody comes from being Jewish either. So we're also dealing with that where some people don't, like I said, I had the luxury to do it. I could say I am not working on Sunday because I go to church. And then when they found out, that I was in the ministry, as a, part of clergy, they were like, oh, okay. They understood. They even took it a step farther and never put me on the schedule on a Sunday. So I had the option, but I had other brothers and sisters that don't have that option. We know that some of you out here have to work on every other Sunday, or you have that week. Yeah, you don't have the option. You can't say no. But at the same time, you still reverence the Sabbath. You still honor the Sabbath. And I think that's why we're saying, it looks simple, it reads simple. Don't work, do this, don't do. It's not, and it is, but we don't live in a world where we have full control over it like that. So, and we still have to honor, because the Bible says that too. Honor those who have rule over us. So we're talking about the government, our managers, our employers, all of those different things. We have to do what we have to do. And we have to do it in a way where it reverence God. All right, so let's get to Romans. Romans 14, 4 through 6. I'm telling you, studying that book when we did it in Bible study changed my whole perspective on my faith. Yeah, deepened it. All right, so Romans. Yeah, if you just get new, I'm putting it out there as a plug for those who are new converts. First book you should start reading is Romans. Just letting you know. Deal with Romans. Who art thou that judgest other men's servant? Another man's servant. Here we go. This is basically what you were talking about. Who out there that judges other man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Again, you have to honor those who are in leadership. You're under a manager that puts you on the schedule. Once you're put on the schedule, yea, he shall be beholden up, for God is able to make him stand. So, let's break that down. Romans, see what the writer says about this verse. All right. I want to see what the writer says. There you go. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yea, he shall be holden up, for God is able to make him stand. Many centuries after giving after the giving of the Sinai covenant, the Apostle Paul writes to Christ's followers who gather within households in the city of Rome. We find that in Romans 16:5. He faces a new situation. Instead of speaking to an exclusively Jewish audience who had been included under the Sinai covenant, Paul writes to Jews and Gentiles, those who have given their allegiance to God's Messiah, Jesus. The Gentile Christians have neither become Jew nor adopted all of the same practices. Paul cannot point to stipulations of the Sinai covenant as if these are agreed upon foundations for universal behavior. But neither shall Paul say that any part of the scripture is irrelevant or outdated. To that he would say, God forbid. When necessary, Paul is unafraid of demanding strict adherence to the code of conduct, but is that how Paul should regulate the observance of sacred days for mixed ethnic communities of early Christians? Paul asks a rhetorical question. Who art thou that judgest? We know Paul wants his audience to avoid a particular kind of judging here, since there are other times when he speaks of judging in a positive sense. Paul does not say to give up discriminating right from wrong, but he wants his audience to give up acting like a final authority over matters. That calls for individual discernment. Certain topics he calls doubtful disputations. We find that in Romans 14:1. If we condemn others for these, write off people as hopeless, we risk condemning ourselves when we fall short. Find that in Romans 2:1-4. Specifically, Paul describes food laws and calendar observances as requiring individual scrutiny. Only one person can be our ultimate judge, Christ himself. Paul uses an example from his audience's everyday experience. For any man's servant, what the master deems appropriate is what really matters. He standeth or falleth. In other letters, Paul speaks of perseverance for the last days as standing fast in the Lord. So there we go. He's like, they're under a master, and he has the final say. If you don't work Sunday, you lose your job. What you gonna do if I judge you for working on Sunday, am I gonna help you pay your light bill? Am I gonna stand in your stead and pay your electric, your gas, your mortgage, your rent? So what do you think Paul's saying there is, because he says, yea, he shall be holden up, for God is able to make him stand. What do you think he's trying to say there? We can't judge what the other man does, because we're talking about a mixed crowd again. You know, my wife's going to get me for this because I keep using her as an example, but she ain't know nothing about church when I met her. I told y'all the story. She thought I was lying half the time that I spent that much. She just knew there was somebody else taking her time. I was like, no, I was in church. So then she asked me to take her, and I'm like, yeah, I took her. And she's like, oh, okay. She didn't understand half the stuff we did. And I didn't hold her to that until she understood it, until she accepted it, until she started following it on her own. I didn't make her do anything. She came on her own accord. She grown. She ain't my child. I'm not going to make her do nothing. And I wasn't going to judge her by it because I knew she didn't grow up the same way I did. I knew she didn't do the same things I did when she was coming up. I knew all of that. But if I had it, what would you think she would have been if I had been strict with how I observed things? Yeah, and then she would have been right. She's like, you ain't my daddy. Yeah. I'm like, thank God I didn't do that. 28 years later, well, no, 31 years later. Married 28, known each other for 31. One man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Again, we know what the pattern is, but now we're dealing with, that was exclusive to the Hebrews. God was talking directly to his chosen people, but now we have Paul in a mixed group. And he knows that each one of these cultures has their own observances, their own days that they observe. Then they also have their own days they actually observe the Sabbath. One does it on the last day, one does it on the first day. Because based on their calendar, this is how it looks. This would be the day of rest. On their calendar, this would be the day of rest. So now, what do? Do we judge the other one wrong for observing the day? The Gentiles are observing it on Sunday while the Jews observe it on Saturday? But they're all talking to the same God on each one of those days? We're also observing what was said in Exodus 20 and 8 through 11. Do we beat up on the Gentiles? Because we're among the Gentiles, because we observe it on Sunday. So have we, and I'm going to use it, I know he didn't use it in this way, but I'm going to use the term. Are we guilty of dishonoring his day if we observe it on Sunday? Ah. Okay, you say that in the mic. And then I'm going to have Elder Little come up next and say what he said.
For me, every day has become the Sabbath day. Mm-hmm. Because there is not one day that I don't worship the Lord.
Ah.
Amen.
Okay.
People worship God different days. Different days.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, because I'm going to actually explain that one.
Yeah, different days. There's some, I was in the church and there was some that worship on Sunday and some on Saturday.
Right.
But through the week, they work all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and days they got off, that's the day they use for the Sabbath day.
Okay. Uh-oh, we got an objection. Come on, Elder Ward. Qualify your objection.
In today's world, you can't just put God to the side on Monday. Put him to the side on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay.
You got to honor God every day of your life.
Okay.
Today, because like back then, if you go by the calendar, Saturday is the seventh day.
Right.
According to
Right.
the calendar today.
Right. It is. Right.
It is.
Right.
So what is it? Not the seventh day. Seventh day of Adventist?
Yeah, Seventh Day. I think Seventh Day Adventist, and there was another group. Yeah.
They worship on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was back then. But now we worship God every day.
Okay.
If you don't, something wrong.
Now, I hear you, but we're talking about the day of rest specifically.
It has nothing to do with the rest.
Okay. So.
I'm gonna sit down.
Now, come on.
If you say about rest, okay, then why do so many of us work ourselves so much? As a Christian, as a believer,
Right.
Why do we work ourselves so much where we can't worship the Lord? Or why we wear ourselves down even when we work for the Lord?
That's a very good question. That is a very good question because, like I said, I worked a lot of overtime this week, but I wasn't giving up my Sunday. Today. Hey, I wasn't giving up my Sunday. I was not. I told him, I'll come in on Saturday. I'll cover Saturday, because I know, I'm going to be out next week and all the rest of this stuff, and I'll bring up my job up until such and such, but I'm not working on a Sunday. It's not happening. And I have the ability to say, no, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have the ability to say that. But when we're talking about the day, the Lord's Day, we're talking about you have to rest. I get the reverence of him all week. But there has to come a time, going to what that statement about burning yourself out. Because if God did it, he rested and set the day aside, made it holy, and asking us to remember to make it holy. You know what? I'm going to ask you to define it. He ceased from working. Right. Sorry. If I made that sound like God was exhausted, I apologize. That's not at all what I meant. But he established a pattern. Work the 6 days. Rest from work on the 7th day. Reverence me on the 7th day. Reverenced my work on the 7th day. Honor me by doing this. I set it aside. I made it holy. I hallowed it. It is holy. Remember it to keep it holy. We've been talking about things that are done that we're supposed to remember as believers. And we're honoring the event itself. Come on. Yeah, we're talking about the Sabbath.
Just reading the scripture, it says, remember the Sabbath day, which is a command to respect that day.
Right.
And you shall do no work. And he even said, to respect the cattle, the sons, and daughters.
The daughters, yeah, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Everybody on that day. And that was important because sometimes that day was overlooked. People were just forgetting about it and not showing the respect that this command was. It had to do a lot with humanity. It was, a concept that people wasn't, after a while, I guess you can say they were getting complacent and not respecting that day. Nowadays we say it could be, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it is, but you should, and then he says to keep it holy. Mm-hmm. To separate that from
everything else.
Anything else. Keep it sacred. So.
Yeah. And I like that you brought that back to us, because that's what we're talking about is, and again, I'm not saying God got it exhausted, but he even stopped. And for us as believers to not take that into account says something. That's part of the reason why I asked the question about what do you mean by honor him, and the rest, we threw out all those answers: worship, praise, honor him. What's wrong with us resting on that day in honor of him? Like, the reason why we are resting is because we're honoring him. Just like when we talked about taking communion. Why do we drink the wine and the bread? Because we understand the sacrifice that Christ made that day. We understand, we have a relationship with him, we understand what that means. The taking of that wine, we know what that means. The taking of that bread, we know what that means. But if I'm resting on that Sunday, on that Sabbath, and not doing any work, hold on.
Thank you, my teacher. That word rest in Hebrew means, the word for that is Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know the S-H-A-B-A-T. And it means to stop.
To stop.
Cessation. Right. What was God doing? He was creating, so he stopped creating. So what were the people doing? They were preoccupied with what they were doing.
Right.
They were not giving God recognition.
Right.
So he wanted them to Shabbat.
Just stop. Just stop.
So they found themselves working, ignoring God, and then God being a jealous God, he wanted them to
stop.
Moment
of silence. Think about that. A moment of silence. There are times where we're told what do we do in that moment of silence? What do you do with your moment of silence? Meditate on what? And that's basically all he's asking you to do. Moment of silence. Just stop. Yeah, every day. Sometimes we can distribute it that day throughout the entire week. Give up an hour a day, hour and a half, whatever it is. Stop. Just think about him. Priorities. There, again, prioritize. That's what the Sabbath is about. Stop. Just think. Meditate. Then you can go back to work. What's so important that you can't give up that time? If God could do it, why can't you? The blue law is set aside because we live in a capitalist society, and they didn't want to lose their money. Plus, they knew if we could keep those the joints open a little bit longer, all those church folks can go come out and eat. Yeah.
Good morning. So you brought the blue law.
Restaurants and grocery stores mainly.
Right. So, we start talking about even on our money, in God we trust. Most of what we see written, constitutionally and everything, has some origin from the Bible.
Right.
So when you talk about the blue law, that was intact for many years. What was the blue law? Nothing was open. Nothing was open on Sunday.
But then it was relaxed.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Nothing was open, so you couldn't go to work. All of that was what? That was in help to preserve the day that we're supposed to be setting aside. So then when you start getting into the day, whether it's Saturday, whether it's Sunday, and y'all have heard me say before, I don't care what day you say is your Sabbath.
Right.
Set one aside, and then if you want to, every day, have time during the day. If you look at some of the other countries, when they have siesta,
right,
things like that, very stringent about that. Well, my son-in-law lives in L.A. in a neighborhood, and at a certain time I think it's on Friday evening over to Saturday night, it's so strict, you can't even open the refrigerator up because it's going to emit light. And they hold fast to the profession of their faith. Whether you agree with it or not, they hold fast to that. When you start really peeling this back, you start looking at a lot of things that we have made up. Right? We made these things up. If you're supposed to rest from your labor, right? That's the work you do. And then on Sunday, or whatever day is your Sabbath, that you do what? You reserve that to God. Okay. I don't know about you, but if we're saying Sunday is a Sabbath day, I need to choose another day. Because to me, I work on Sunday.
Yes.
you work on Sunday. There's an expectation that you come to the house of God and you put forth some work effort. Is that not right? Now, if you're not in the modern day church and you don't do that, then you got to question yourself on what you're doing and why you're doing it. So if you go back to when this was originated,
Right.
think about this now. Think about this. Was there a church building? No.
Oh, right, yeah. Temple
No,
had, yeah.
no.
Tent hadn't even been made, yeah.
There wasn't a church building. The tabernacle wasn't there. Church was where the people were.
Right,
Because church was in you and church was not in four walls.
right.
Okay, so man said,
Still true,
we
still
want
true.
a place. God even said, build me a temple. Right? So when that happened, now the temple requires work.
Yeah, the Levites, yeah. Levites, that's their
The
job.
temple requires work. Even on the Sabbath day, the Levites were still working. So I said all I had to say this. You got to put all these scriptures into perspective. The context, when they were written, why they were written, who they were written to. Look at it today. How do we transition that into what we do today? So I think it was Elder Ward that said, every day we need to find time to worship God. And here's the thing. It's not so much about finding time to do it. It's just about doing it.
Right.
Right? The Spirit of God in you has to be who you are, so you live out who you are, where you don't have to set aside time to do it. It's just who I am. It's a part of my routine. So then you don't get caught into the thing, well, I didn't have time to do it today. Did you have time to brush your teeth? Because it's your routine. You got to make it a part of who you are so you don't have to find time to do it. And then it doesn't look like work, does it? Do you think it's work to brush your teeth, work to take a bath? It's not really work. That's a part of who you are. You just do it. So when Sunday comes, we're resting from that labor that provides us the ability to provide a life for ourselves. But there's still work to be done. Amen?
Amen. Yeah, it just cements my thought on the moment of silence. Just stop. Oh, verse 6. That's right, we didn't get to verse 6. He that regardeth the day, regardeth it unto the Lord. And that's what the remembrance part is. Again, that's what, and I like how he said that because it is work. When I come here, I'm running all of that, and today I've got to do double duty. Yeah, I'm working. I wish somebody would take that job from me, but I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I didn't have that, to be honest. But yeah, so again, it's just that moment that we set aside. And I love how Bishop said that. It's got to be a part of what you do. You don't have, it should get to a point, I don't think about Sunday. I don't think about it. I just know. It's already set in my mind. It's already set in motion. I know what I do during the week, and I know what I'm doing on Sunday. Sunday has been put aside to honor the Lord. Simple as that. During my day, I pray at a certain time. I get up my body now just gets up at a certain time of day.
What about volunteering on Sunday to work? There's overtime. To get out of debt.
I don't do it.
I got the question.
No, ask that question. I want everybody to hear that question.
What about if I volunteer to work overtime on Sunday?
Well,
The
you
reason
better
why
put your Sabbath on another
The
day.
reason for that is overtime. And in some cases, double time
Right, yeah.
to get out of debt. Not to work for fun, but to get out of the day.
You better put your
the
Sabbath on
Lord's
another
day.
day. You better put it on another day. Yeah, who judges? Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Okay, all right. You coming? You coming? Come on, bro.
If the Sabbath is the seventh day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we go by the calendar, that's on Saturday.
Right.
That's the end of the week.
Right.
So if you think about it, we're going to worship the Lord on Sunday.
Right.
So we're going to start the week by worshiping and end the week on Saturday. So
By resting. Okay.
like you had said, it's every day of the week. So I'm not saying he did it by design, but if you think about it, you're starting the week off
With
Sunday,
him. Okay.
and you're ending it on a Saturday because the Saturday is the seventh day, right?
Right. Okay. So you started by worshiping on the week and then resting on the. I like your week. So Saturday's my Sabbath. I can rest. I can honor him on. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I honor him on Sunday. Rest. So I honor him on the end of the week and honor him at the beginning of the week. Okay. All through the week. Yeah. But I observe the Sabbath. And I get to honor him all through. Oh, okay. I like that method. I'm sticking with that. I like that. I'm going to, yeah. So this will be my last Saturday. Working on this Saturday. I like that. Just sit at home, relax, honor him. But then I can honor him in praise and worship on Sunday, start my week off, and then do my little prayer and my little Bible study, think about him during the week, take that moment of silence. Sometimes I talk to him while I'm driving. I'm wondering what I look like, somebody watching me having actual conversations. I just ask him, like, you know what, why do we do this? I talk to him like I'm talking to my dad. Yeah, I worked out a lot of stuff talking to him. It's like, you know what, I don't understand why I did that. Can you explain that to me? Why did I make that decision? Just have that conversation with them. And then Saturday, I'm going to, it's a conversation. I'm having a conversation. Yeah, he's answering me. And he comes at me like, bruh, you know exactly why you did that. I don't even know why but I know why you're asking, but you know why you did that. Take full account of that. You know why. You wanted to do that. You like the idea of giving somebody that piece of your mind. You were waiting on that day just for him to just say one thing so I could throw everything at him. Come on.
There's a point of talking to God
Yeah.
for me, but then there's a time that you must shut up and let God speak
Oh,
back
yeah,
to you.
yeah. But
You can't do all the talking and
Right.
not listening.
Right. Understood. Sometimes those moments of silence, that's exactly what that's for you to listen. You know, and if I talk too much, he let me know too. Like, okay, I need you to listen. Yeah. Sometimes that voice sounds like my mom, but never mind. Right. You know what? I'm starting to wonder about that. And this is a sidebar. This is honest sidebar. When we say stuff like that, even if it's not an answer we don't want, is that true? No, because you want God to talk to you. As a believer, you want to hear from him. That's why you have the conversation. That's why you read his word. That's why you study. That's why you do the things that you do. To get those answers. Because for me, if I get an answer from him, I know it's the right answer. Absolutely. There is no doubt about it. I don't have to guess. Because if I go to pastor, no, not that's not necessarily true. It's how he sees it from his perspective. And he has to filter it through all the knowledge that he has and all the experience that he has. He has to filter it and then dilute that and then give you the answer that he deems is appropriate. Does that necessarily mean that it fits every situation or it's the absolute? No. It's the same thing for me, for any of you. I go to your advice. The advice is coming from your experience. But with God, it's an absolute. It is the precise and perfect answer. It's the one that will push you forward. And you can't help but to accept it because the spirit in you is like, yes, we're going to do this. Whether I agree or not doesn't really matter after that. If the spirit is in agreement, it don't matter. I'm going to be guided by the spirit. I hope not all of us have to be pulled screaming and, kicking. That's not fun. How does it look when a mom's got to drag their child through the store? How many of you experienced that? It's kind of embarrassing, ain't it? Yeah. Even if you have to do that in public, it has to be done sometimes, but it's embarrassing when you have to do it in public. Because you got people looking at you and talk. Imagine the Holy Spirit have to drag you like that all the time. You can't just accept the answer. This is what the Lord said. This is what we're doing. And he dragging you, kicking and screaming and throwing a tantrum. No, I want that. Now, young Christians might be, but, us mature ones shouldn't. We should at least act like teenagers and do it a huff, not kicking and screaming. All right, sidebar, we're back. We're back. He that regardeth the day regardeth it unto the Lord, and he that regardeth it not the day, to the Lord he doth not regard it. He that eateth, eateth to the Lord, for he giveth God thanks. He that eateth not, to the Lord he eateth not, and giveth God thanks. So basically, if you honor it, and you do it unto the Lord. You eat it unto the Lord. Everything that you do is supposed to be unto the Lord. So if you regard that day as the Sabbath, do it unto the Lord. Do we do things that just simply out of tradition, out of just observing the day? Believers do that? Really? Honestly, believers actually do that? I have to take your word for it. There's some observable characteristics, but that's not always an indicator either. I might have just caught you on a bad day. Yeah, I can't judge that. You say you saved, then I have to accept that. Now, there's some things that you might do, and I'm like, hey, that's questionable. But I can't judge your salvation. And I can't really eat sometimes. Oh, okay. I thought pastor was. But there's some observable things that, like I said, that we can judge. But we have to judge it in a way where it's not condemning either. You just be like, okay, yes. I was trying to.
So I like to clarify that when we start talking about the judging. Mm-hmm. I can't judge whether or not you're going to heaven or hell.
Right.
But I see what I see. Right? I see what I see. When my brother is overtaken in the fall.
Right.
And ye which are spiritual, restore such a one, the spirit of me. Right. How do you know he's overtaken in the fall? Because the spiritual man is judging the spiritual man. And when the spiritual man sees something that's not spiritual in a spiritual man, then we're supposed to go to them. That's a judge. I'm judging that what you're doing is not spiritual and is not holy. I'm not judging you or condemning
Yeah,
you
right.
to hell.
It's
I'm
not about
judging you
condemnation,
to hell.
yeah.
It's me being accountable
Right.
to you. It's accountability. Okay? Elder Ward. Right. Yeah. Right. How can you judge whether a person is saved or not? Here's the thing. You can't judge what a person's relationship is with God,
Right.
because salvation is what? Personal, between them and God. I'm not judging what you said the relationship is between you and God. I'm judging what I see that's not lining up with biblical scriptures and principles. Okay? Hence, someone says, go ahead. Oh, yeah, it's definitely with all of us. Hence, someone says, you hear people say that you commit suicide, you going to hell. Says who? Says who? If he coming in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, how long does it take before you commit the act of suicide, before you actually die from the suicide? Now, don't look at your clock, because your clock is not God's clock. Time exists in God. So if I jump off the 5th floor, how long does it take me to get to the concrete? Is it more than a split second? I think so. If I blow my brains out, I may look dead to you, but I ain't dead till I'm dead. Is that a split second? Is that enough time for God to do what God does? Look, because we don't know the mind of God, we can't fathom, we don't know all of that. So you can't really put your mouth on it to say something so, a blanket statement as such.
Right.
You got to leave room for God to be God. And then don't worry about somebody else. We just got to worry about ourselves. My accountability to you is simply me being accountable to you. If you don't take heed to that, then that's not between me, you, and God. That's between you and God. I've done what I was supposed to do.
All right. Yeah, and that judgment does not come with, it's just, I think that's why I was sort of hesitant with the judge part, because we use that in a connotation where it's about condemnation, like I'm the final arbiter of your life. No, I'm just observing and seeing things that ain't right. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Where you at?
Yeah.
Why are you feeling that way? Why are you acting that way?
So the other part of that scripture,
Yeah.
right? Ye which are spiritual, restore such a one. And right, there's the next part.
Yeah, right.
Considering
yourself.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
That you may also be judged. And with the same judgment you judge, the
It's the
same
one
judgment
that's going to come
to
back
you.
at you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So who can stand
Right.
in the position of judging
Yeah, right.
heaven and hell to anybody?
Yeah.
Nobody but God.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody but God.
Yeah. That's where I was going with that. I was like, we worry about the wrong things because we like that the first part of that scripture, clause A, that says that, if a brother be overtaken, oh yeah, we can see that. But then we forget about the other part, such were some of you. Such were some of you. We were in the same positions. But then when we're getting in the positions, we can judge and we can observe and we can do all of that, when other people are fallen. But when we are in the situation, we want to have a different type of grace. But yeah, we want a different type of grace. But it says that ye that are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself. It could have been you. It could have been you. We worry about the wrong things. So whether we're going to use the word observe or whether we're going to use the word judge, I'm just going to say restore them, pray for them.
Right.
Considering yourself. And then how you want people to come to you, that's how you go to people.
You've just answered a question I had in my mind, is why people who are saved, are afraid to show that vulnerability in front of other brothers and sisters. Because some of us don't consider ourselves when we go to another brother or sister. And we've seen that. I should be able to come in here. I've known some of you as long as I've been an adult. but yet I can't have that conversation with you? As long as I've been saved. I've known you as long as I've been saved, and yet I can't have that conversation with you, brother or sister. Look, I know you've seen it. It's written all over me. I messed up. Can we talk? Because I'm afraid of your judgment of me? But then we wonder why nobody wants to talk to us. Or we keep stuff secret. Because we got people that, I know we're talking about Lord's Day, but I think this needs to be put out there. We have people that are suffering from things in the church because they're afraid of how they're going to be perceived by their brothers and sisters. And it shouldn't be on just the pastor to do it. Yeah, I know there's a reason, but there shouldn't be a reason. That's my point. It's like it shouldn't be all on the pastor's shoulders to deal with that. We've got 100 people here, 125 people, and he's got to shoulder everybody's issues? We're interconnected. We're interconnected, so I should be able to go to, like, my peer. Let him preach. Let him teach. And we talk to each other. Come on.
So I'm going to just take some responsibility for myself and accountability. There was a time, and I think most of you have been here during that time, where I would say I was still part of the fold, but y'all didn't see me.
Oh, the marathon period? That was during her marathon period.
So, and I'm telling you, and it went over some years.
Yes.
Still paying my dues, still paying my tithe, but y'all, you weren't seeing me. And again, the accountability part of that is that I recognize the calling that God has on my life, right? And I also recognize that there are people who glean from me. And I was in a position that I didn't feel like I could be a responsible Christian, if that's...
What does that mean?
Because I didn't want people to get the wrong thing from me. Okay, this is me talking, and it's not God, this is me. And so I didn't think that people, I know people should get them for themselves and everything like that, but the truth of the matter is, you are going to be, for some people, you are going to be the Jesus, the light that they see until they mature. And so I wasn't in a position to shoulder that responsibility. I felt that I wasn't in that position
that's the question
to shoulder
I'm gonna ask.
that responsibility.
Okay.
And so therefore, I went away.
You ran marathons.
I ran marathons. I was all over the world. But I just was not in the place.
Right.
And so, but there was a time where God had to shake me. And Bishop had to come and get me. But, look, Jesus came after the one. He came after the one. But I had to be shaken, seriously, because, look, it ain't your, these are not your people, Gwen. It ain't about you. These are my people. All you have to do is to get in position and do you. And so I think a lot of times, so I don't want to blame people for not, pouring into me, because it was all Gwen, for real. It is nothing that anybody could have done or said. It was all Gwen. And I had made up in my mind that I wasn't worthy.
Right. Which is not your right.
Which is not my right. Exactly.
Right. You've been bought, purchased with the price, and empowered to do so. You have no right to dictate who you are and who you are not to God. God is the one that deems you holy. He's the one that deemed you worthy. He did all of that work. You can't undo that work. Yes. All you have to do is just accept it, and that's it. Just accept it. It is what it is. And we, as your brothers and sisters, have to also accept that and restore such a one to a belief that, yes, I understand that I'm his and I have no choice in that. He's made all the decisions for that. And I'm just along. I get to benefit from it and get to ride along and just do the work that he has given me. And on the Sabbath, I honor him for all of that. I just stop. Give him that moment. Give him that day. And it's not a chore. It's not a work. Just giving him that day. But I'm going to follow David's method. I like his. That means I only work 5 days a week. But in that, to me, again, this is about that the observance of that day is about how we see it. We understand it. We have a relationship with him. We should be able to see that by observing that day, we honor his work. We just stop and think about him on that day. Just like with communion last week. We drink the wine because we remember the blood that he shed. We eat the bread. We eat it because of the body that was broken. For us. For us. So we honor the Sabbath the same way. We stop working for us and the other folk. Because technically, come on. The work that we do ain't for him.
I guess I said question, but I was thinking about what Jesus said to the people
Okay,
about the Sabbath.
gotcha.
He said, I am the Sabbath. So what we do, like you say, we honor Jesus and the resurrection too. And we remember, and if you go back to Egypt, when they was in Egypt, they didn't have no time to rest.
Right.
But now,
They do.
in my walk with God, and I'm busy doing things around the house, and I said, well, now I got to get my prayer in. Or if I'm busy all day, and it's 8 o'clock now, I'm gonna still get something going with the Lord.
Right.
Because it's in me.
Right,
Oh, glory to
right.
God. Just like when I was out in the world doing everything, it became a lifestyle.
Right.
So there are times when I'm thinking about something, and it's just going over and over my mind. And the Spirit would say to me, I am God. He would come in. You know, he would not come in, but he's within me.
Right.
And he knows what I'm thinking
Right.
before I think it.
Right.
So he intervenes
Right.
and let me know, don't worry about it, because I am God. And he says it with authority when the Spirit speaks through me.
Yes.
He said, I am God.
Yes.
One time I was thinking, I was at the window looking out, and I saw some things, and I said, and the Lord said, it ain't your business. I said, yes, sir.
So, yeah, keep that to yourself. So again, in regards to the New Testament,
was
goes back to what you're
said
saying.
or something was done that will
Those moments,
encourage
you
you
take those
to
moments.
help you to make it through your
And
week.
like,
We pray
Bishop,
that God
it is a part of
has
us.
an
We take those
abundance
moments 'cause we
in
take those
your
moments.
life. So we're asking you to tune
It's
in.
not a chore.
Same place, same time.
It's not a thought.
On
It's not
next
a, oh, I
Sunday
forgot.
With the morning
I like how
worship
Sister Hall said that.
experience with the Herald.
If I ain't did
and
it
here at the Herald,
8 o'clock in the
our
morning, I'm
bishop
doing it at 8
always
p.m.
says,
I'm
let
still
the
getting that
light
hour in.
on the
I'm still
inside
getting that prayer in.
shine
I'm still
brighter
getting that
than the
word in.
light on the outside.
And that time is his. I stop for him.